Well, hi again, friends, and welcome back to our study on spiritual due diligence. And we are in our first study, the need for due diligence. And we are moving today to the fifth lesson, lesson number 5, reasons to investigate the progression of history. And I, Jeff Hopper, am here with my friend Jeff Cranford again. And Jeff, I have watched and read history and watched the History Channel and some of those things, and I am always intrigued by small bands of people who survive against the greatest of odds. And there's no doubt that the Jews of the Bible, just even from a historical point of view, have had every odd, it seems, against them,
right,
and have survived. And then as well, here's this man, Jesus Christ, who rises up out of obscurity, and somehow it is He that people choose to follow, and they continue to go forward throughout the centuries, following this obscure carpenter from the middle of this little stretch of land along the Mediterranean. Would you agree that that is a compelling reason to continue investigating this God of the Bible?
Well, it's compelling for sure. Anything that grows into something that literally billions of people down through the last 2,000 years have been impacted by is compelling. I think what's also compelling for me is a sense that God had already written this history in advance. It's called prophecy, and it's the Old Covenant, or the Tanakh, as some of our Jewish friends may refer to it. If you think about it, for instance, in the last chapter of Isaiah, God pronounces this. He said, "Just as the new heavens and the new earth, which I make, will endure before me, declares the Lord, so your offspring and your name will endure." And there are many promises of this everlasting endurance. Now, what's also compelling to me and gives a sense of the historical perspective is the over and over and over there were promises that were made by God that the nations would come and be part of this process. Isaiah 2 saw it. The nations will stream in. Jesus, in fact, prophesied it even during his time on earth. He says, "I have sheep of another fold," and they're going to be made part of this process. So when I think about the odds, really, of 12 disparate, different kind of individuals called the disciples, fishermen, tax collectors, just a ragtag group of guys. Jesus now invests the future, if you will, of the kingdom expansion to these guys. Imagine, I wonder what those guys are thinking now, looking down from the portals of heaven, to realize that billions of people have come in, and it started with something as simple, really, at that time, a kind of a sect of Judaism in Jerusalem that then spread from, just as Jesus had pronounced, from Jerusalem to Judea to Samaria to the remotest parts of the earth. Now, we're sitting here in La Quinta, California, and it's almost the case that you could draw a line through Jerusalem, go dead through the center of the earth, and almost come out fairly close to where we are, certainly somewhere towards the North American continent, and realize that we are, in fact, the remotest parts of the earth. Now, to see that thrive, not just the fact that it thrived and grew. There are other religions that have many adherents. Islam has close to 1 billion maybe adherents now. They've grown. The difference is that God saw it coming, prophesied it in advance. The people, the Jewish nation, will endure before me. The nations will strain to this remnant of people, I believe the disciples. They will come in from all corridors, from the four winds, the elect. They'll come in. There will be this massive resurgence. I was in a car the other day with a couple of guys, and I was trying to I was sharing my faith with them, and one of them turned around. I was sitting in the back seat, those two in the front, and he turned around and he goes, "I can't believe that you would believe in something that's just so ancient and so old. Haven't we surpassed that?" And my response, in a sense, or my feeling was, well, it's precisely the reason that I do believe in it, because of its longevity, because of its God said it would endure. God prophesied what would happen. God told us it would be a worldwide movement. And then He would come back. One of the few things that are left are His coming back that have to be accomplished. It reminds me of the quote, Jeff, that John Lennon's quote from the Beatles in March 4th of 1966. He said this. He really is really reconfirming what was said in the 17th century with kind of the French Enlightenment that this will all pass away, this Christianity will be no more, the mythology that these people have believed in will pass away with the new scientific era and the ushering in of modernism. John Lennon echoed those thoughts when he said, Christianity will go, it will vanish and shrink. I needn't argue with that. I'm right, and I will be proved right. We're more popular than Jesus now. I don't know which will go first, rock and roll or Christianity. Jesus was all right, but his disciples were thick and ordinary, and it's them twisting it that ruins it for me. Well, the twisting that John Lennon talked about has evolved into a multi-billion people. I think McDonald's has billion served. It's now the case with Christianity, and not just adherence to an external form, but adherence to people, thousands, millions, in fact, multiplied millions, that would sit down at this table with us this morning and say, Jesus has had profound impact on my life, and I'll never be the same. It's an experiential thing. So when I look back over the last 2,000 years and you read some of the ancient fathers who talked about the exact same experience, time and time again, different cultures, different prevailing scientific ideas, different demographics, different everything, different educational backgrounds, and they all say the same thing. It gives me pause to say this is something worth investigating, something doing my due diligence if this kind of an impact has been had for this long of a period of time. Mm-hmm. And God's been proven right on prophecy after prophecy after prophecy. It gives us reason to do our spiritual due diligence.
Right. Wow. Well, the progression of history, folks, that's the progression of this particular lesson. And so we'd like you to go ahead and go forward and observe what the Bible has done in terms of pointing to God's people, who they've been, and who they would become, and also your place in that history. Because there's no doubt that each and every person asks, why am I here? What is my purpose? Why have I lived this life? And you may find evidence even there in the progression of all of history or the progression of the history of your own life.
Well done. You're good at this. You need to start your own TV show. I'll be your only guest.
I need to start it.
I'll be your only guest.
My only guest.